Before this video starts, I just want to give a massive shout out to all my channel members. If you want to receive a shout out, then become a channel member today and you'll be shown on screen like all these other channel members here. Anyways, enjoy the video. On February 6th, version 14.2 dropped in the Japanese version and dropped on March 6th for the international versions. This update contains a lot of content and I want to talk about everything that was added in this version. Since we have loads to cover, all I ask is if you enjoy this update analysis, then give it a like and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy Battle Cats content, and comment what was the most exciting thing about this update was for you. Anyways, let's get to the new content. All units discussed here will use their level 30 stats. The first new unit is a brand new Luga unit, this being Mamalan Pasalan. This unit has an extremely unique role as a base defender, similar in vein to Paragon Cat. They have 0 speed and are knockback and warp immune, as well as being immune to the boss shockwave. Their form of base defense is weakening everything within their 1400 range for 6.67 seconds, or 8 seconds with treasures. This unit also has a summon, and unlike every other summon, this one has 1300 range, and the summon weakens for the same duration as the unit. This summon can be used to get a quick burst of damage, or to extend the unit's weaken time. Mamalan being a base defender with 0 speed puts their usage in an odd spot, as if you can keep enemies away from the base, then they don't really do anything. However, they can get some value if the best strat for a stage is to either lure, or the stage length itself is really short. However, in most situations, this unit generally tends to be a dead slot. They also have a massive vulnerability to LD, waves, surges, and explosions, as this unit's really small health pool of only 10,020 causes them to be killed by a slight breeze. This unit's extremely unique role makes it so their value is entirely dependent on the stage. Luring or small range stage, then this unit can help make everything easier to handle, but generally, this unit won't be doing all too much. Next is a unit for the best of the best milestone banner. This being Superstar Kaneko, who has different use cases depending on the form. This unit is Gambling the Unit, as they have a whole host of different abilities, these being a 22% chance to spawn a level 2 Wave, Savage Blow, spawn a level 2 Surge, and Explosion, on top of a 12% crit chance. She also has Wave and Curse immunity, and a 100% chance to slow Traitless and Relic for 2 seconds. The first form is better for dealing with metal enemies due to a relatively fast cooldown of only 57 seconds on top of her extremely cheap cost of 148 cents and having a 250 standing range, but Superstar Kaneko is generally better in every other way. This second form sports a range of 450 and has 71,000 health. Her cooldown does increase to 191 seconds, giving her a cooldown length similar to most Iron Legion Ubers. This unit's inherent luck factor prevents her from being 100% consistent, but due to how often her effects proc, she is at least consistent enough to where she is good. She has a 53% chance to activate at least one of her AoE effects, giving her a form of area attack at least half of the time. Her traitless targeting makes her an excellent early to mid game counter, and her relic matchup lets her stay relevant in the late game. Overall, a unit that is all sorts of random, but is at least consistent enough to be a solid attacker and crowd control unit. Then we have the Choco Capsule, an in-app purchase unit who deals massive damage to traitless or black enemies depending on the form. While for most units, level 30 tends to be enough, this unit has a unique property only shared with other in-app purchases, in which they have a positive stat curve, where the stats they gained per level increases at higher levels instead of the other way around. At level 30, they have 17.2k health and deal a 10,000 base damage, or 30,000 damage against traitless, or 40,000 damage against black enemies. At level 50, they have 25,000 health and deal 15,000 damage, or 45,000 damage against traitless enemies, and 60,000 damage against black enemies. They have 35 speed, meaning they serve as a rusher unit who is able to deal great damage to their traits. However, they are a single target unit, meaning that in stages where peon spam is heavy, this unit can have a hard time landing meaningful damage. Their first form has a much better niche, as they face a lot less competition as a traitless rusher than a black rusher, as talented CAT exists, but for an in-app purchase unit, they're certainly better than most, but I would only advise getting this unit if you want to spend real money on it. Skipping Killer Axe is Killer Gross, who like all killer units is nothing more than a joke unit, but something that is interesting to note is that they do have 700 range. Their cost alone doesn't make this worth, but it's interesting that they have this much range, which opens up a lot of potential for a possible future true form. Last is a new White Day variant for Catman, the Amazing Catman and Illusionist Catman. Compared to regular Catman, they have less HP and attack in exchange for shorter TBA and wave immunity. They have 59,000 health and deal 35,000 damage, or an effective 142,000 damage against red and floating enemies. Their wave immunity gives them an edge over regular Catman when it comes to dealing with enemies such as Pigeon Disable and Bun Bun Symbiote. On top of these two, this form can also target Berserkari, Toucan, and Dionel. When swapping to Illusionist Catman, they now target Angel instead of floating, swapping their floating counters to the likes of Yukan and Rajakan. Just like regular Catman, this unit is solid at their job as a nuker and can work as a solid wave immune option. This update sees the addition of two new true forms. The first one is the true form for Miasma Cat, Bubble Cat. Bubble gains a significant boost to their attack, going from 3,570 damage to 9,860 damage, nearly tripling their damage and letting them deal an effective 40,000 damage to their targets. Speaking of targets, they gain the floating target, an excellent addition, as most floating enemies don't go beyond 350 range. They also gain curse immunity, a longer backswing, and a shorter cooldown, which is now 11.2 seconds. A slight health boost is given, giving them 7.8k health. This true form improves a ton on what made Miasma so weak before, the biggest thing being the amazing damage boost. Now they actually have the stats to be an excellent anti-angel LD attacker and an amazing wing piggy counter. Their floating target also allows them to be used in a lot more situations. Even just as a great general spammable LD attacker, having 2,000 DPS for that price, range, and cooldown is amazing. Comparatively, Talented Housewife effectively has the same DPS, so using these two together effectively gives you a lot more LD coverage. Overall, an amazing true form for a unit that has only ever had a single use case, now being able to be a formidable foe to not only angels, but also floating enemies. The second true form is Oni Battlepod Kozuchimaru, the true form of Isamboshi. Compared to Oni Landshaker Kozuchimaru, they gain a 50% damage boost, a speed boost to 60 speed, which is comparable to Awakened Bahamut, and freeze immunity. Their boosted damage now allows them to be a solid rusher against both angels and traitless enemies in their evolved state, dealing 85,000 effective damage to traitless and 112,000 damage to angels. Their speed boost now allows them to more easily secure hits, both the initial and their successful rebounds. Their freeze immunity is also helpful for letting them rush down Henry more easily. Just like the last few Uber True forms, they gain rather small boosts compared to most, but their cost is relatively cheap as well. In order to get this true form, you need 3 yellow cat fruits and 6 epic cat fruits. This update sees the addition of one ultra form, this being Supernova Cosmo. They gain a solid 25% boost to their health, a rather large cost reduction, now only costing 4,500 to send out, gaining Omni Strike from negative 300 to 1,050 range, Sage Slayer, and most importantly, a level 10 wave. All these boosts make Cosmo a truly excellent ultra form. The wave effectively doubles his already massive damage stat, letting him deal a whopping 214,000 damage even before any multipliers outside of the wave. Because of how far Cosmo stands, their wave can essentially activate their crowd controlling abilities twice, allowing you to very easily gain ground against floating and angel enemies. Their Omni Strike ensures that they can land their hits. While they may have 850 standing range, due to just how fast he is, their effective range is slightly lower. The Omni Strike complements this fact as it gives them even more effective pierce and allows them to easily fire off their absurdly powerful attacks. Their health boost is also solid, as it can usually save him from any sort of pushing either by the enemy or himself moving too forward. Their Sage Slayer allows him to be an excellent Sage Generalist and allows Cosmo to be one of the best counters to Sorectis. Against Sages, they have an effective 128,000 health and can deal an effective 256,000 damage against non-wave immune Sages. All of these boosts are before we even factor talents. Their usage against Colossus enemies becomes even greater, and their curse can be even more effective. On screen is a table that shows all the damage values Cosmo has against all types of enemies, with and without talents. Being able to deal over 400,000 damage against a Colossus enemy is huge, as this usually takes out a large chunk of most of their health and easily kills the minor Colossus enemies. Seeing as this Ultra Form gains so many absurd boosts to their kit, it is safe to say that this Ultra Form is 100% worth the investment of Dark Cat's Eyes and the somewhat expensive stone cost. In order to get this Ultra Form, you need 10 yellow cat fruit and 10 yellow behemoth stones. Three units gain talents this update. these being for God Emperor Heavy Jack, and 2 special legend units, these being Holy Valkyrie Cat and Awakened Bahamut Cat. First is Heavy Jack, who gains Strengthen as well as Wave and Knockback immunity. The Wave immunity allows them to not get chipped by a ton of Wave enemies and makes their matchup against all the Red and Aku waivers a lot better, especially Death Quarry and DNL. Knockback immunity isn't all too needed, as it really only improves their matchup for Red energy. Last is Strengthen, which activates at 33% health. This Strengthen does give Heavy Jack a more solid defensive stat, but due to it activating at such a low health, you can't really get a lot of use out of it. Wave immunity is a solid investment, especially if you lack general wave immunes, but everything else can easily be skipped. Now probably the biggest part of 14.2, these being both Valkyrie and Bahamut talents. First with Valkyrie. Valkyrie receives the special purchasable treatment and gains both an 80% boost to her health and attack. On top of this, she gains Strengthen, freeze length increases, and cost down. The main talent outside of her raw stat buffs is her Strengthen, as this lets Valkyrie have a rather solid amount of DPS, especially if her stat talents are invested in. With max attack and Strengthen talents, her DPS soars to 10,000 at level 30, which is very solid for a unit who is relatively spammable as her. She only gains a 1 second increase in freeze time or a 1.2 second increase with treasures, which is rather minimal, boosting her uptime to 69% or 74% with treasures. While the increase in uptime is solid, the fact is that her freeze chance is still only 35%, meaning it's gonna take a bit to get a lot of value out of this talent. Her cost down makes her cost to only 2,250, which if you have the spare NP is a solid option, but isn't needed. If you're in the need of a strong, relatively spammable unit for 4-star, then picking up her talents isn't a bad idea. However, there is a dragon-shaped elephant in this room right now. These being Awakened Bahamut Cat's talents. Bahamut is the first unit in the game with talents to gain neither attack or defense increases. What Bahamut gets, however, is truly insane. He gains a speed boost, going to 70 speed, slow immunity, and perhaps the best talent in the entire game outside of Can Double Bounty, Explosion. Explosion effectively doubles his damage output and gives him a form of piercing damage. The amount of stuff Bahamut is now able to get away with is absurd, such as basically soloing floor 40 with simple rock timings, being able to solo whole stages, juggle the likes of Winged Piggy, etc, etc, etc. I will say it again, this talent is easily a top 2 talent and can even be argued as the best talent in the entire game. Even their other talents are helpful, as movement speed allows Bahamut to more easily get to the enemy and deal his usual high damage, and can more easily slip into enemy blind spots. Slow immunity is the worst of his talents, but is still an excellent pickup as it makes it so Bahamut can no longer get stalled by the likes of Professor A, Dabu, the Titan family, and etc. All of Bahamut's talents are worth the pickup, but Explosion is easily the top priority. Valkyrie and Bahamut talents have an unlock condition that's unique, as these two have awakening stages that must be cleared. Valkyrie's is unlocked after Cats of the Cosmos Chapter 1, but is balanced around Cats of the Cosmos Chapter 2 treasures, and Bahamut's stage is unlocked after Cats of the Cosmos Chapter 2, but is balanced around Cats of the Cosmos Chapter 3 treasures. These stages will be covered in the new stages section of the video. One unit gains Ultra Talents, this being for Divine Kai. She gains Aku targeting, curse immunity, and raw health talents. Her Aku target allows her to be an excellent tank against Aku and allows her to be a shield piercer a lot more easily, as now she can tank a large chunk of damage, pierce a shield, and either cripple or straight up kill an Aku enemy in one hit. Her curse immunity allows her to be a solid option against some floating and relic enemies, as well as Malevolent Dark or any future Aku cursor. Last is her raw health upgrade. As Kai is a unit who has a naturally high health stat, she gains a lot from these, but is still definitely the last ultra talent to consider, as Kai is in no need of an immediate health upgrade. Still, 20% is still a lot, making her base health 437,000 or 1.75 million for Aku and 2.18 million for floating enemies. If you enjoy using Kai, then these ultra talents are worth the Dark Cat's eyes, and being a stat unit alone, gaining extra levels makes her a lot stronger. There are 5 new enemies added to this update. First off is a new Sage Relic enemy, this being Shachiko, a variant of Delphina. Fast, long LD with short standing range, but also curses for 6 seconds. Their Sage Relic mix makes them especially vulnerable to EDNX, who is able to two-shot them at level 50. Then we have Holy Valkyrie Cat, who shares a lot of traits with Corrupted Valkyrie, but is now a pure floating enemy and now has a 75% chance to freeze units for 3 seconds on top of general stat buffs. Awakened Bahamut Cat has a standing range of 300 and deals an explosion on their first hit, though has the backswing like the unit, so they attack slightly less often than their Raging Bahamut counterpart. Choco Capsule is a very easy enemy to defeat as it only has 20 health, meaning even a level 1 basic cat without treasures can 3-shot it. Last is Killer Gross, who while has low base stats, is encountered at minimum 2,950% magnifications and maxes out at 12,000% magnification. Their single target does mean that they're more of a support enemy by knocking back close range units to let Killer Cat and Killer Tank push further into your line. The new subchapter added is the Forest Playground. The first stage is the Bamboo Copter launch, which has Dogenstein, Gabriel, Angelic Gory, Johnny Leon, Kurosawa, and Shachiko. The Broadleaf Yo-Yo has Snake, Relic Doge, Dogshun, Professor Albroli, Zyklone, and Shachiko. Marble Swamp has Trolley Bloggers, Shibalian Elites, Raging Gories, Tekken Old Hyenas, Ahaki, and Professor Albroli. The Waterweed Trumpet has Doshinstein, Mega Baba, Dark Dober, Shachiko, and Gokuraku. The Trompo Foothills have just Axolotls and Assassin Bears. Last is the Beloved Waterfall, which has Coffin Zoge, The Thrillers, Muth, Dogenstein, Rain D, Henry, and Oldstrich. As Miasma gains a true form, comes a launch stages for Zionel's Revenge. The final corpse has a restriction of 1500 or less. With Sympathy has the titular Zionel, Gabriel's, Doge Darks, an Angelic Gory, a Shadowboxer K, a Saint Dober, and a Chibinel. As mentioned earlier, both Valkyrie and Bahamut have stages that must be cleared in order to unlock their talents. The enemies present in Valkyrie's stage include Mistress Celeboodles, Ultra Babas, General Grigories, and Sunfish Jones. This stage is unlocked after clearing Cats of the Cosmos Chapter 1. For Bahamut's stage, there is simply 3 Muths at the start, and Shibalian Elites that spawn every 46 seconds, starting at 33 seconds. This stage is unlocked after Cats of the Cosmos Chapter 2. A brand new Coliseum is added, this being Uber +1 or Uber Duplication. What it does is when you send out an Uber, it will create a second copy of the Uber 2 seconds after. This includes Ubers with summons. Legend rares are not affected by this condition. Round 1 has Squirrels, Doge Darks, Shadowboxer Ks, Brawlos, Teacher Bunbuns, Tackies, Professor A's, and a Cappy. Round 2 has Doge, Croxo, Starpang, JJ Jackrabbit, General Gogories, Lemurs, Arosts, and Kleewon. Round 3 has Ms. Devil, Wild Doge, Mistress Celeboodle, Akugori, Wicked Face, Medusan, Scissorex, and Rangmaster. Clearing this stage on 1-star and 2-star grants a rare ticket in the missions tab for each star cleared. Round 4 includes those guys, Zombo, Circeal, Zolo, Ariant, Engabaru, Dionel, and Dreadbore. Round 5 includes Snake, Gabriel, Angelic Gory, Calamaria, Gokuraku, Hazuku, and Winged Piggy. Clearing this stage on 1-star grants 2 Platinum Shards, and on 2-star grants a Dark Cat's Eye through the missions tab. To go along with the Choco Capsule enemy, a brand new and simple stage is added. Clearing it gives 30 cat food. For the 100 million download event, the Golden Tower is added. Golden Tower is a variant on the Heavenly Tower in which all rewards except rare tickets are doubled, where simply an additional rare ticket is rewarded. For example, on floor 26, you would normally get 3 rare cat's eyes, but now you get 6 of them when clearing it. All floors are the exact same except for floor 50, which has enemies from both Golden and Silver Week. Along with Master Ural, there is Golden Doge, Golden Hippo, Metal Snake, and Pure Gold Arost. The Heavenly Tower units are still available to obtain if you don't have them already in the Missions tab, but Infernal Tower does not run when Golden Tower is on, so you're unable to obtain the true forms. For the first of these miscellaneous changes and additions, Secret Crush Cat, Tomboy Lion Cat, and Chalkboard Eraser all had their plus level cap raised from 45 to 50. Class Rep Cat's plus level was increased from 35 to 40. The Talent Orb filter menu has been polished, now more resembling the cat filter. Several placeholder sprites have been found for new Talent Orb abilities, as well as a new Talent Orb trait. For the White Day banner, Date Masamune, Urashima Taro, Lucifer the Fallen, and Thunderjack have been taken out and replaced with Poseidon, Hanzo, and Isamboshi. Aki's attack animation has now been changed. Instead of all 3 attacks going off at relatively the same time on frames 32, 38, and 44, they now go off at frames 32, 52, and 72. The killer axe space has been reworked, so now they attack less often, but in exchange now attacks from a range of 0 to 500 on hit 1, 750 to 1250 on hit 2, and 1500 to 2000 on hit 3. 2 new cat combos have been added, the first being the Sigh of Relief, featuring Cowland Passaland and Crazed Dragon Cat. This is a research medium combo. The second combo is featuring the Choco Capsule unit, a 1-slot Worker Cat max-up medium combo. Last is the new user rank rewards. User rank 24,300 nets 3 Gold Z, 24,400 nets 3 Meteorite Z, and 24,500 nets 3 Beastbone Z. The new Mercstoria content has been found in the game files. Eyewalt's and Mystica talents are already available, and Nono's true form will go live when the collab starts. If you want more information on the new Mercstoria content, check out the update analysis for version 13.7. The Bikurman collab is still yet to arrive. This update was definitely huge for Bahamut talents alone. Even if Bahamut talents were the only thing added, this would still be a rather massive update, as now Bahamut is able to do so many absurd things that now Bahamut is able to sit at the top of all legend units, with only Esoteric Euro coming close to his throne. But I want to know what you guys think of the update. Let me know in the comments down below, and while you're down there, be sure to subscribe to the channel if you enjoy Battle Cats content, and like the video, as this lets me know that this is the sort of content I should continue to make. Also, shout out to the following channel members: Dr. Deadly, Potato King, Gross Cat the Best, Barely Grover, Ian Dean, Uberless, and Iriburel for being gold and silver members. If you want to receive a shout out like these channel members here, then become a silver member or higher today. Becoming a channel member supports what I do in a way that helps keep the lights on, and channel members receive an exclusive role in my Discord server, for which you can find a link to in the description down below. Anyways, I hope you have a wonderful day.